広がる渦巻きに回転していて、たかが主の声を聞けない。すべてが割れて、中央が生きられない。無政府状態だけが世界に来ます。
こんにちは、皆さん。Now this is going to be a really short video because there's just no way that I can drag this to like 10 minutes or so. But I still want to weigh in on it, so here it is. So, as most of you should know, about a month ago actually, it started going around on social media and whatnot that Japanese schools were banning ponytails. In fact, it got so big that you would see it on the news. I mean, I don't watch the news. I practically don't read it either. But looking back on it, I did find legitimate news websites and such reporting on this. So yeah, it sounds kind of strange for anyone who watches anime. So that was like my initial thought when I saw this. It doesn't make much sense. Now, the usual angle that most most individuals, most social media, and other news media have taken is that this is a bad decision, a step in the wrong direction. It's going backwards. It's reversing social progress. Not to mention that it's biased against women, young women, girls, and so on. My take on this is that it seemed very unlikely, because I mean, if you watch any anime at all, you know that the ponytail is pretty much like, well, if not the only haircut that the children in school, children in school have. It's arguably the most functional that girls could wear. Because when you think about it, not only do a lot of characters in anime have ponytails. I mean, girls. I don't know. Who do I even start naming off the top of my head? But without even starting that, it's a haircut that just sort of works. What you might notice is, and I'll have to go back and check, and I'm sorry to not be able to cite an actual manga volume that I own or something, but you'll notice that even girls in anime and manga who don't typically wear ponytails will, at some point, wear it that way. For instance, off the top of my head, there's Nagatoro, and pretty much the only reason that I got into Nagatoro is because of that Kengan meme with Boy M. So that was the whole thing. That's actually one of the reasons that we're still reading Kengan Omega. It's because every week you get something to laugh about. So anyway, that was a really funny Reddit meme. I mean, it was on Reddit on the one hand, but it was funny, and that got me into Nagatoro. And there you have it. Nagatoro is about to have a judo match, and she put her hair, which she normally doesn't have that way, in a ponytail. I think Komi-san also had this. Although I'm not sure if they showed this in the anime, but Komi-san, when she's doing sports, she ties her hair up, which is a really functional thing to do. Even if long hair isn't in your face when you're running or something, it might still get messy or whatever. I don't know, get caught in something. So it was hard for me to believe that ponytails would be banned outright in some sense. But the news went, and I'm going to look at a post that I saw on Facebook, actually. I mean, I've seen this on, some of the manga and anime groups that I'm in, because I'm in those. So there's a post from the Northeast Journal that said that after... Actually, let me just, read out the image, the text on the image, which says, Japan schools ban ponytails. Fears they might sexually excite boys. So yeah, like, when I was... Before I go on, again, I'm sorry about the background noise. But, as I was saying, it seems a little unbelievable. Right? Because, as I said, like, not only is it functional, and not only is it something that you would see very often in anime and manga, it's also something that's just kind of hard to ban. Like, people would, it's almost a logical thing to do with long hair in many cases. Not to mention, like, I mean, this is something else that sort of came back. If you watched, I think this was Kaguya-sama Love is War Season 2, there was that boy who, like, you know, sort of went from being, what's the word? I won't say boring, but, like, I won't say conformist either, but, like, he went from not standing out to, like, coming to class, at least he was at the student council room with the earring, and piercings on boys would, like, typically be banned, of course, like, you know, to the school I went to. And again, to clarify, this is for, like, boys in school. So, I mean, if that is what's being permitted in some places, it seems highly implausible that girls would be made to not wear ponytails. I mean, what else would they do? They would either have to, like, keep their princess cut or other kind of long hair just flowing free in class or something, or braid it, or I don't know, get it cut really short. I guess braiding would be what is being prescribed here. Although, like, from my friends in India, which is where I live, I've heard some pretty upsetting stories about even braids being morally policed in schools. So, you know, like, sometimes the goalposts just keep shifting. Now, I could just make a reference to another YouTube video that I came across. But if I did want to end the video here, I would just go on to read the rest of the post from the Northeast Journal, which says, you know, the caption that is, after prohibiting white-only underwear policy, Japan now prohibits ponytail hairstyles. The schools in Japan have banned female students from tying a ponytail due to the exposure of nape of their necks, eventually potential to sexually excite male in educational institutes. I think this could have been typed better, but the next line actually clears a lot of it up. In a survey conducted in 2020, 1 in 10 schools in the Fukuoka prefecture of the country had outlawed the ponytail. So that is actually, like, where I could end the video, because that sort of answers the question. It isn't every school in Japan, obviously. It isn't even most schools. It just seems that, like, in addition to a number of fairly strict rules that girls are expected to conform to, a fairly small number of schools are also banning the ponytail because apparently it sexually excites men. Now, for those of you who still want to watch the rest of this video, yeah, so, like, if I wanted to get into it, I would have to touch on some of the sites reporting this. For instance, it was reported in the Hindustan Times, and, oh, this is interesting. So, the subtitle, that is, this second title, says, Motoki Sugiyama, a former teacher, had taught at 5 different schools for 11 years, and in all these schools, ponytails were banned. Interesting. Okay, so it makes a reference to the article on Vice by saying that the report said that there was no statistics on how many schools in Japan still ban ponytail. So, again, like, the article goes on to say that this teacher, Sugiyama, had taught at 5 different schools, and the ponytail was banned for some reason. Of course, like, as you'd expect, a strict uniform was enforced, from, you know, the color of hair to the color of underwear. Now, of course, there are horror stories coming out not only from Japan, but also like the very city where I'm from. I've had friends talk about like their experiences in school, and needless to say, some schools seem to be overdoing it. As you know, uniforms are the norm in Indian schools, but some schools seem to be overdoing it a little bit with how intrusive they get. It seems, according to some people, and I'm not going to cite this right away because this is kind of a digression, but it seems that like some schools in India, at least, actually check how strictly you follow their strict rules. But moving on, I don't normally watch his channel, but there's a video by Joey, who's one of the Trash Taste crew, cast, if you will, who actually read out this article from Vice, which seems to be sort of like the source of all this news. And he has some interesting takes on it, so I probably don't need to because he's a big YouTuber, but like I'll still leave a link in the comments to this. So his take on it is, of course, about moral policing, like, and he points out, I mean, or let's say he takes on this interesting way of looking at how rules are being enforced, because one way of looking at it is, of course, a progression from old school rules to modern, more liberal rules, right? For instance, like, again, to refer to Kaguya-sama, Love is War, you remember that antiquated rule of boys being made to shave their heads for school? And Ino, I think her name was, wanted that rule back in schools because she liked that. And isn't that something that she has in common with, or at least possibly has common with someone making rules now in the real world? Because it's something that you like, or you struggle with liking, so you outright ban it, or you want it reinstated. Anyway, so as the Vice article says, here's Motoki Sugiyama again, who's quoted as saying that administrators told him that girls must not wear a ponytail because exposing the nape of their necks could sexually excite male students. Now, as I said, Joey goes quite a bit into this about how Japan seems to want to modernize itself, wants to modernize even school rules and regulations of school uniform, but then they're struggling with stuff like this. Stuff like the color of underwear, the color of natural color of hair, like, for maybe students of foreign descent, or maybe not. And again, the present subject, ponytails. It is an interesting take. I'm not here to criticize that, but it's something to keep in mind, that like Japan is trying to modernize in so many ways, but then you have a number of people who, sort of seem to want to set the clock back, that just sort of move backwards. Even if you don't completely subscribe to that attitude, it's kind of hard to believe that a large number of schools would enforce this, because as I keep saying, ponytails tend to be quite functional. Even if, like, boys wouldn't be allowed to wear long hair, if girls have long hair, at some point, since sports are a big thing in Japanese schools, or so I infer from anime and manga, it'd be kind of hard to like have long hair without a ponytail. Now, before I completely finish this, there's an interesting video that I came across by the page Asian Boss on Facebook. I'll leave a link to that exact video in the description. And there's this series of interviews that let's call her the reporter takes of people in Japan, just regular people she interviews, who weigh in on the ponytail ban. Some people seem to feel that rules have to be obeyed, but again, like, and this is me coming in, and it's not a question of you obeying the rule that already exists. It's a question of should the rule even exist to begin with. And it's interesting that at least one or two people point out that it's somewhat draconian. Since this isn't really I don't know, a pressing issue, since I said earlier that it's a small number of schools doing it, I'm not going to watch the whole video very thoroughly, but it does seem that quite a few people at least don't approve of the mindset of enforcing this. Anyway, in conclusion, as I said earlier, there are no nationwide statistics on how many schools still impose a ponytail ban, but a 2020 survey suggests that about 1 in 10 schools in the southern prefecture of Fukuoka prohibited the hairstyle. And the teacher mentioned earlier, Sugiyama, had taught at 5 different schools in Shizuoka prefecture, about 90 miles southwest of Tokyo, that all banned ponytails. I guess it's hard to tell how widely this is happening. Maybe it's not restricted to Fukuoka, but wait, actually, let me look that up. How is it pronounced? Oh, okay, so I was getting it right. It's Fukuoka, short O. Anyway, so I guess it's impossible to tell right now how widespread this is, but it seems a little hard to believe. Joey, the YouTuber I mentioned, says that this might only be happening slightly expensive, slightly upscale schools, if you will. Maybe it's happening in some places. It seems a little strange. But it's happening, and in the cases it's happening, I think it's safe to say that this is going way too far. It's just a ponytail. If it excites someone, that's definitely not the child's problem. And even if we don't completely agree on changing everything unique about Japan, maybe sexualizing little girls with ponytails isn't really the way to go. Anyway, that was my small, quick take on this issue. So I'll leave a few links in the description, and thank you for watching.